now, and it's into that frustrating stage. So, it started off okay, but now I'm just getting frustrated. I just want to get back to normal life. But yeah.
Yeah. Are you doing much training around home or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm trying to just keep myself ticking over and that. And sometimes I go down to the gym by myself and just do my own workout, there's bags and stuff that I can use and that kind of thing, and just doing like running and training my back garden, whatever I can do really to keep myself fit. I'm trying my best, mate. Trying my best. What about you?
I haven't done a whole lot since I stopped, because
No.
We were training for the European Championships in Taekwondo. They were on at the end of April, and they got cancelled then 2-3 weeks ago now, and then training for me just stopped. So
yeah, it's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Especially when you've got things to look forward to like that as well, and you've got competitions that you're training for, and because I was supposed to go to Canada next week, and obviously I can't go now, so that's gutting. And
that would have been a nice trip.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, mate. Absolute nightmare.
Was that were you competing, or was it just or was it seminars, or a bit of both?
Yeah, it was competing. I was there's a tournament over there called the Quebec Open. So I was going to go over there and do that. I've always wanted to do it because a lot of people that I know who have gone have always come back and told me that it's been really good. So I wanted to go over there and do that. And then I've got a friend over there, Robbie Lavoie, and I was going to stay with him for a week. I think we were there for a week. Yeah, I was going to stay with him for a week, and we were going to go around, and he's going to show me around Canada and stuff. We were going to go to Toronto and places like that. So yeah, it's been a nightmare.
Yeah, and Flanders is usually on around this time of year, isn't it?
Flanders is usually September.
Austrian Classic, is that right? Austrian Classic.
Austrian Classics, yeah. That one was supposed to be. That was the same weekend that I was going to go to Canada, actually. Austrian Classics, yeah. And then all the other big ones, like the Points Fighting Cup in Milan was cancelled. That was supposed to be last weekend. What else got cancelled? Hungarian World Cup as well, Best Fighter, all the big ones. So
yeah,
real shame.
Especially when you've been training, like it just everything kind of stops then, like
That's the thing. Yeah, what can you do? It's just I'm going to keep training and keep myself fit, but it is difficult when you've got nothing to actually train for. You're just keeping yourself ticking over, aren't you? So.
Is it a WAKO Europeans at the end of this year, are supposed to be?
Yeah. Hopefully that will still go ahead. Depending on how the situation progresses. But I think it will. I think it will go ahead. It's supposed to be in October, so we'll see how things play out. But that is quite an important one as well, because the Europeans this year is qualifiers for the World Combat Games. So I'm actually stepping up a weight division this year, because my weight division wasn't selected for the combat games. It's actually the one above. So this year I've already qualified for the European Championships in the weight above, and now it's just about qualifying at the Europeans to go to the World Combat Games. So hopefully it all goes to plan and we can get back out there for them, but we'll just wait and see. So that's the hardest thing at the minute, is the uncertainty of it all. No one really knows when things are going to get back to normal. So
yeah, because I think it's even the same for, like, you're looking at the Olympics and you're looking at, like, it's grand to say, okay, maybe August time, yeah, it might be okay to actually have the games, but people haven't been training in the lead up, so what's the point of having it if people aren't going to be at the best? So
exactly.
That's the challenge.
Yeah, it is, mate. It is, unfortunately.
But we go right back to the start. How did you start in kickboxing and martial arts?
I actually started when I was 4 years old, and the reason why I got started was because of the Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers. So I always used to watch them on TV as a kid, and they were my favourite cartoons.
That constantly comes up. That was the same for I started Taekwondo. It seems to be a common.
Was it really?
Yeah, Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles. Those two TV shows are kind of seem to be the ones that a lot of people our kind of age are saying that the reason they started.
Yeah, it really was. I used to love watching them on the telly, and then one day a leaflet came through the door advertising a local martial arts school, and my dad actually didn't want me to start at first, but my mom and dad saw how much that I loved it and how much I wanted to go, and then they finally agreed to let me go, and then we never looked back ever since then. Martial arts has been pretty much my whole life, so that's how I got started. Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, without them, who knows where I'd be now.
Yeah, and I found when I started, it was I just wanted to learn how to do flips and kicks. It's like competing or winning medals or trophies and like that. No, that wasn't it wasn't in my head. It was I just want to be able to do backflips and kick while in the air. Like,
just the cool moves. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's mad. It takes you on a different journey then.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah.
So like you would have fell in love with it straight away. Like you never thought. It never didn't take you a while to kind of fall in love with it or anything.
No, I loved it from the very beginning. Yeah, ever since my first class, we used to call it the Little Ninjas back then. And I remember just having so much fun in all of the classes, and learning loads. And then I just took to it naturally and loved it. And I've never looked back. There's never been one moment really in my whole life where I've thought I want to give this up or I want to quit. It's just I'm very lucky to have found my passion from such an early age. And I couldn't imagine life without martial arts. I really couldn't, and I'm very lucky.
Did you play other sports growing up?
Yeah, I played football for my school, and I played for like a local team. I also boxed for a number of years as well. I did quite well in the boxing. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm still doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now as well. So a number of sports, cross-country running. I used to love cross-country running as well. I used to run for my school. And then I'm pretty much watching all sports, really. I'm a fan of most sports. I love basketball, American football, all of those different sports. I'm a big fan of. So, yeah, pretty much all sports. I'm a fan.
Who's the favorite basketball team?
Basketball team. I don't know, it fluctuates, but at the minute I've always liked LeBron James. So the Lakers. I root for the Lakers just because of LeBron. Me and my dad actually love LeBron. His mentality and just how dominant he is as an athlete. So liking the Lakers at the moment.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm a big LeBron fan.
He's the legend.
It was Cleveland before. Now it's the Lakers.
I like Cleveland when LeBron was there, and I think you get drawn to a player, don't you? And then you like the player, you like the team. So liking the Lakers because LeBron's there.
Yeah, and then if you were to pick an NFL team,
well, my dad loves the Cowboys, so I've always, had a soft spot for the Cowboys because of that. And then I also like the Chargers because one of my teammates, Jack Felton, is a big Chargers fan. And when I was in California last summer, he took me to a game, and he took me to like their preseason training camp. So I'd have to say those two teams, the Cowboys and the Chargers, are my two favorite teams.
Yeah, I would have been. I'm a Patriots fan, but
Patriots. Well, you gotta love what Brady did there as well. He's great, isn't it?
It's gonna be interesting to see the season without Brady. So I'm looking forward to that now. When it does kick off.
Yeah, eventually.
I was ashamed of because even like that with the NBA, it was just heating up. It was.
I know, yeah, it's such a shame, isn't it? I know, just everything stops. Football and gosh, it's an absolute nightmare.
And so after you started, did you start competing straight away then in kickboxing?
I was about 6 or 7 years old when I did my first competition, so I'd been training for a couple of years. And what happened was, obviously we go through like the little ninjas program, and then I moved up to the kids class, and then the instructors saw that I had good enough potential, and they put me into like the tournament squad. And then we started doing tournaments around the country. My first one, I think, must have been in 2006, something like that. And yeah, that was my first one. I remember I was so nervous. I ended up fighting Charlie Maddock, who's actually a Taekwondo. We did had some success in Taekwondo herself, and yeah, I got absolutely battered. I think I lost. I got beat by maximum score, which is like 10-0, or I might have got 1 point. Might have been 11-1. But yeah, it's funny to look back on those times now.
And is your club like a mainly points club, or is it mixed?
We've always been mixed, really, and I've always tried to make sure that I can have success in all styles. I'm a big believer in being able to do it all. I know a lot of people don't believe in being able to do all of the styles, or they say that one style hinders the other one. And I've always been a big believer that you can do it all. If you have a look at all the greats, Raymond Daniels and Michael Page are prime examples of that, and I always want to aspire to be like that myself. So our club's always been pretty open-minded. We do points, we do continuous. I do kick light as well, which is another style in WAKO Kickboxing. Like I said before, I've gone and done boxing, bits of full contact as well. So yeah, try and practice it all as much as I can.
So yeah, because I think that would be probably what I would think is one of your biggest achievements, is because you one of the WAKOs a couple of years ago, you won all 3 events. Isn't that right?
Yes, yeah. We won. I won the points fight. Say that again.
Has that been done before, or?
At the time, it hadn't been done before. I was the first one to ever accomplish that. Yeah, it's points, light contact, kick light, and the team event we won as well, which is where you have three members from your country that are male. We have 1 female as well, and then it's a cumulative score, and we ended up winning the team event as well. So it was definitely one of my greatest achievements, and yeah, something that I'm really proud of. Being the first person to win 4 gold medals in a world championships was really big for me.
And so how many fights did you have across that week?
Oh, a fair few. Well, I actually don't know how many fights I had in total, but it's got to be over 20. It must have been, because I was fighting 3 times a day, and the whole tournament lasted a week. And sometimes it varies between how many fights you have a day. Sometimes you'll have, you'll fight once in every division. Sometimes you may even fight twice. Sometimes they have to do the next round as well. So it all depends on how the tournament's going and what the organisers decide. But yeah, I was having multiple fights a day that were 3 rounds. And obviously, I was doing multiple styles as well. So I was doing the points, I was doing continuous, I was doing kick light, so I was getting slammed in the legs every day. I was battered and bruised, and I was tired and and aching. So it was a really big challenge to be able to pull through it and get through the week and manage to get the win in every single one. Was something that I needed to prove to myself, and I'm very proud that I did.
Yeah, and like that's some tough fights that you like against the likes of Tony Stevenson is obviously a top fighter from Ireland in terms of the light contact, the kick lights. I've watched that fight on YouTube. It was a great fight. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was that fight was a real the one from the world champ. Well, both of them actually. We had a fight at the world championships in Budapest in the kick light, and we also had another fight in the Europeans a year after in the light contact. And both of them were real wars. And Tony's a great fighter, so massive respect to him.
Yeah, and which event would you say took the most out of you, physically?
I'd have to say that doing kick light is a real big step up, because the toll that it takes on your legs, it's crazy. I've only got thin legs as well. I've got skinny legs. Yeah. And every time I'm getting kicked, you feel it. You feel a leg kick a lot more than you do a punch to the face. I'd much rather get hit as hard as somebody could in the face than get kicked in the leg. And once you take, 8, 9, 10 of those every single fight, it takes its toll over the week. So I think doing the kick light, it is physically tiring, and it is, draining cardio wise, but I think the amount of toll that it takes on your body also makes that one stand out for me in terms of, you know, being the toughest.
Yeah, and like that doesn't gel too well with the kind of physical things, attributes you need. Going into the points with the light explosive.
Exactly,
They don't mix well.
exactly. You need to be explosive and you need to be fast on your toes. I actually attempted to do the 3 styles the year before as well, which was at the European Championships in San Sebastian. And what happened there was I actually broke my ankle in my first fight. So I broke my ankle. I broke my ankle in a points fight, and in my first points fight, I managed to get through that one. And then it was a real tough week after that, you know, trying to get through all of those fights, and getting kicked in the legs and then not being able to move. You know, my response time, my leg checks, I couldn't really check a leg kick, or I couldn't throw a side kick, or I couldn't blitz, or I'd see a kick coming a mile away, but I couldn't move. Do you know what I mean? So that was really tough. So that's why it was very important for me that the year after I'd go back and I'd put that right. You know, I wasn't going to let that, let it put me off achieving my goal of winning all 3. I needed to go back that next year just to prove to myself that, you know, I could do it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did it put you off, like the disappointment?
A lot of people, a lot of people, and people that I highly respect as well, told me that, you know, doing 3 disciplines is too much, and especially in my weight division was a very popular weight division as well. So there's a lot of entries in there, which meant that I was having a high number of fights, and a lot of people were telling me, you know, I shouldn't be doing 3 divisions and I need to specialize in just 1 or 2 and do it that way and be sensible about it. But to be honest, I always, in times like that, I always ask for my dad's advice because I always trust him the most. And he's, you know, we haven't gone too far wrong yet. And, he said to me, no, you know, we're going to do this. We're going to do this next year. We're going to train. And we're going to do whatever it takes. And we'll come back next year and I guarantee you we'll get the 3 golds. And we did. So.
And did that kind of even drive you on more, even the fact that people had said maybe you shouldn't do it? That kind of.
It did. It really did. Yeah, people. Yeah, it did. It added to the motivation of it. You know, people saying that, oh, you shouldn't do it, or, you know, it's dangerous or whatever. You know, I just used that all as motivation to push me in my training, and it worked out perfectly because the next year I went back and I won all my fights in every division, and I even managed to 10 clear everyone in each of the finals as well, or get maximum score in light contact and kick lights, 15 clear. So I managed to max them all. So, you know, I came back and did it well. So I'm really pleased that I managed to do that.
Yeah, definitely said it's a savage achievement to win all 3 events at one tournament.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And so, like, then how many world titles then do you have in total?
I actually have 13 as of now. 13 WAKO world titles. And that's across all of the disciplines and the age groups. So points, light, kick light, and team events as well. I've got 13 in total.
And what's the kind of what's the breakdown on them? Is there one more than the other? Like more points, more light contact, or?
Oh, good question. I think I've got. We've won the team event 3 times. Points, I must have won 14, 16, 19, 40. I think I got 4 points, and I think 3 light contact and 2 kick light, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fairly close to
yeah.
to
something like that anyway.
Maybe 1, but yeah, like, would you have more senior than junior? Do you think more?
I actually spent a lot longer competing as a junior than I have done as an adult. So I've got more junior titles, but as an adult, I've got I think I've got 4 world titles as a senior. But yeah, this is only I've only had 2 world championships so far in the seniors. So I've definitely done a lot more. I've had a lot more years as a junior because I'm still only 21. So yeah, still got lots more to do yet.
And do you find, Well, I find for me personally, when I look at the titles, especially like in Taekwondo, that the senior ones mean a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the time when you win the juniors, obviously it's a massive achievement, and it still is. Even looking back now, I'm still very, very proud of my junior achievements. But as an adult, it definitely does mean more. The goal is to always is win the adults, because that's where the highest level of fighters are. So yeah, absolutely. The seniors is more important, but I'm definitely still proud of all of my other world titles as well.
Yeah, like that. It's when you're a junior, it's not like you can really decide to go to the adults. It's the highest achievements you can have at that time. But
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah,
the senior ones definitely like me more. Like even if you look across the divisions, that's where all the top names that everybody knows are competing, and like
absolutely.
this to step in and compete against them and come out on top is
Yeah,
the goal, and it's the great when it happens.
yeah, absolutely.
And then I know like this year, then you won the Irish Open Grand Champion,
Hmm.
and I find this is like the interesting thing, especially in kickboxing and points kickboxing, is that the Irish Open sometimes is recognised as nearly being bigger than a World Championships to some degree,
Yeah.
because you are at least maybe not bigger, but sometimes even the same level of achievement, because like there's so many top
Hmm.
fighters go to the tournament, and it's such a big
Yeah.
tournament. So
Yeah.
would you have that up there as well as a big achievement?
I think that the Irish Open is bigger than a World Championships, because a World Championships, you've got the best fighter from each country, so the number one seed from every country that's going to be competing in the event. So you're fighting the best of the best, but then you look at the Irish Open, and not only have you got the best from each country, but then you've got the second best from each country, you've got the third best from each country, the fourth best from each country, and then you've got people from all over the organisations, lots of different organisations as well. A lot of the good NASCAR fighters. I know NASCAR is a very big association over in America. You get all of the Americans over, all of the South Americans over. Some of the countries that you wouldn't necessarily see in a WAKO World Championships will come to the Irish Open. So you've really got to be on form when it's Irish Open weekend, because you can be fighting the best from absolutely anywhere in the world. And the number of competitors that it brings in is just unprecedented in the sport. There's no other tournament like it. So absolutely, I'd have to say that out of all the things that I've achieved in my sports career so far, I'd have to say that winning the Irish Open Grand Champion is by far the most meaningful, by far the best. I think for any point fighter, for any kickboxer to win the Irish Open weight is a dream for everybody, and I'm just absolutely so proud that I managed to do it, and it's something that we've been working towards for a very long time. Me and my family, and we've worked very, very hard for it, and this year, my dream came true. So
Yeah. So if nothing else in 2020 happens, then at least you'll have got that out of it.
yeah, I keep saying that. Yeah, at least some good came out of it. Even if we don't get the chance to compete again this year, I'm very happy that I've got that one ticked off my win list.
Yeah, because like even as you said, it's so stacked that you have like the teams like Corelli, and that they just have like a team that's stacked. Like they have so many good fighters that if you're to just pick their best, like their second and third best fighters are sometimes even good enough to maybe win a world title. Like they're good enough to beat
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. They just maybe can't get out of their country to get to get on the mats. But like those
Yeah,
people are there at the likes of the Irish Open. So like I said, it's a big
absolutely.
deal.
Yeah.
And is that I know it's the first time you've won the Irish Open Grand Champion, but at senior anyway. And how many times do you think you've won the Irish Open in total? Then, well, I know
I've won the Irish Open 12 times now in divisions. So I've won my division 12 times, and the Irish Open Grand Champion for the first time this year. So I won a number of them as a kid, and I actually won my first senior title when I was 14 in the light contact division in the adults. Yeah. which is another one of my greatest achievements was doing that as well at such a young age. So, yeah.
And did you compete across all 3 divisions this year, or did you really focus on the points and winning the Grand Champion?
This year, I just focused on the points and winning the Grand Champion, but I have done in the past. I've done points and light contact in both, and again, it's something that really takes its toll on you at the Irish Open because there's so many competitors, and you could be mat jumping, you could be fighting in a points fight 1 minute, and then you'd be called over to another area and you're doing light contact, and then they'll call to another area and you're fighting in teams. So this year, I just wanted to focus on the job, which was to go there and win the open weight, and just, and my division, of course, as well. But they're on separate days, so it didn't hinder me in any way. So yeah, I just wanted to focus on just winning that and ticking that off the list this year.
And was that the plan for the rest of the year as well, to just focus on the points, or were you going to go back to competing across all the disciplines?
Well, I wanted to go back to competing across all the disciplines. The main goal for me at the moment in Europe is to win all of the things that I currently haven't won. And there's just a couple of open weights that I needed to get. But by all means, I always, if I got the chance to fight in light contact and it's not going to, hinder my performance in any way for anything else, then of course I'll always like to compete across all of the disciplines. Always. I enjoy competing. It doesn't really matter what the discipline is. Points, continuous, kick light. I just love to get out there on the mats and compete.
Yeah, that's where the buzz is.
Yeah.
And so, like, who did you fight then in the Grand Champion, or like the Grand Champion across all the fights? Like, what sort of people did you come up against?
Well, in the first fight, I actually fought one of my training partners, Chris Aston, and then I fought I think it was a German guy, a Canadian guy. I fought another American, Troy Binns, who's very good. Got a big name out in the States, and he's come over to Europe a few times this year now, doing some of the European tournaments on the circuit. In the semi-finals, I fought Hector Solorio from Mexico, who I fought a few times in the past. He's a great fighter as well. And then in the finals, I fought my teammate, Jack Felton.
Yeah, yourself and Jack have met a couple of times in Grand Champion finals. Is that?
Yeah. And yeah, Jack is an absolute legend in the sport, and he's always been a hero of mine, because I remember watching him when I was just a kid. I know when I was going to the Irish Open in my first few years, I must have been 9, 10, 11 years old, and I was always running to the mats when I saw Jack getting ready to fight. And it's crazy now to think that we're on the same team, and and we're competing and pushing each other in these events as well. It's a dream come true for me. He's an absolute legend.
Yeah, like, how do you find that experience of stepping out and fighting with somebody you would have looked up to? It's a different feeling, I would imagine.
Yeah, it is. It's totally different. It takes some adjusting to as well, especially like in my younger years as a teenager, and then coming up into the adults. It was definitely probably the hardest then. But now, after spending a few years inside the adults divisions and fighting them all the time, you get used to that, and you can kind of just put it to the back of your mind and just focus on what you got to do and believe in your own abilities.
Yeah. Because there's been 1 or 2 guys I've ended up competing against, and you're looking across the ring kind of going, geez, am I really fighting this guy? Like, well, I remember him. I remember seeing him. I remember seeing him before. I used to watch him, and now I have to go in and fight him. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's always a good sign that you're on the right path, and you're doing the right things. If you're coming up against those guys that you used to look up to, it shows how much you've progressed over the years. So you have to be proud of it as well.
And I know you said you've done you've boxed, and you're still do a bit of boxing and even Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Is there many goals in them to compete and to push on in them, or are they kind of just something you do on the side that you enjoy?
At the moment, I'm just focusing on my kickboxing, but that's not to say, that I won't compete in them in the future. Who knows? I've actually done some jiu-jitsu competitions. That's something that I want to get back to as well, is competing in jiu-jitsu. But with the amount of tournaments that I've got in kickboxing, it's very difficult to find, weekends to go to them. And then, I'm always training boxing as well. I feel that that's massively benefited me over the years in my light contact, in my continuous fighting. It was being able to box. I always thought that was a massive advantage that I had over people when I was fighting in the continuous, from that boxing experience. So yeah, it's not to say that I won't compete in them again in the future, but right now, just focusing on the kickboxing and achieving my goals in this sport before we do anything else.
Yeah, so like with that kind of balance of, it's the standing up with the stand-up fighting with the kickboxing and boxing, and then maybe a bit with jiu-jitsu, would you ever think about going to MMA?
It's something that I really wanted to do when I was younger, was going to the MMA worlds. Not so much now, but again, I can't say what will happen in the future. You never know. I'm open to everything, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, not my main focus right now, but who knows in the future.
Yeah, like we've seen a lot of guys kind of transition over from ourselves that would have been very successful, like Adam Shelley and Ryan Shelley would be two kind of stand-up ones that would have been top guys in ITF Taekwondo and have now drifted into MMA. I look at even Sean O'Bannon and Dean Barry, I suppose, kind of from kickboxing have since, and even actually Raymond Daniels, I suppose, and has gone into
it's becoming more and more common for the kickboxers to jump over, and I think the more point fighters that do that is it's great for us as a sport. It's just really showing how effective that our style can be in the MMA. Because a lot of MMA guys they neglect the style, or they don't appreciate the style. You've got guys like Michael going in there, and Raymond, all of those people showing how good that this sport can be, and it can definitely mix it with the best of the best.
Yeah, 100%. I think I feel like Taekwondo has kind of the same kind of people have the same kind of attitude towards it, that it doesn't really work when this idea of you go into a real fight is kind of the term they kind of use, which I think is complete bullshit, really. That
I always say that there's fighters that do points, and there's points fighters. If you're a good enough martial artist, then you can do anything. You can be a great points fighter, but you can be great in other areas as well, and you can use those skills that you've got from your points fighting and take them into other areas and into other combat sports. So there's fighters that do points, and there's points fighters, definitely.
Yeah, it's not going to translate exactly. Like, you're not going to be able to or fight the exact same way you would maybe in a point spar or whatever.
Yeah.
But like that, it gives a good base that
it's the base.
That's going to be different, that most people won't see. So I love to see like that the styles of the likes of Wonderboy and Raymond Daniels and Michael Van Page. I love to see those styles to do well, because it's kind of just a tip of the cap, like, to kind of say, there is something to this style, and
absolutely
that does work, and just the boxing and the wrestling isn't the only thing that can be successful in there.
Yeah, and I think more and more now, as those guys get better, I think more and more MMA gyms or coaches are starting to respect the style now, and I think it's just a matter of time before we see, obviously in the top MMA gyms and stuff in America and places like that, they all have wrestling coaches, they have boxing coaches, they have kickboxing coaches. It won't be long before we start having point fighting coaches in there as well. I really think it's just a matter of time, because a lot of the fighters now are starting to realise that when they come against guys like Raymond and Michael and Wonderboy, that that's an area that they haven't really mastered, and they don't understand, and they're out of their depth when they're fighting those guys. They don't understand the distance control, they don't understand the tempo and the rhythm changes. So it's definitely something that I think the MMA guys are watching now.
Yeah, even I know he doesn't really come from the point style, but Israel Adesanya is another one who comes from a kickboxing base.
Yeah.
But Yeah, like he's probably my favorite fighter at the moment. His
Yeah,
stand up
he's quality.
is just insane. But like
Hmm.
another guy, because a kickboxing base, but obviously not the point style, but was still a lot of
Hmm.
the same. Like you said, distance, time, and rhythm, all that sort of stuff. It's all trained within
Yeah,
kickboxing, and
yeah.
and would you ever think of like going to a promotion like Glory, maybe further down the line, even, and like Raymond Daniels would have fought for them, or Bellator kickboxing?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's another. After I've finished all of my goals within this sport, then that's probably the next step, is doing something like that. Getting myself into the ring and doing some full contact. I definitely love to do that. So yeah, that's the next step.
Yeah, would you think then that that's where really the kick light would benefit, because it seems to be a bit of a bridge between light contact and going into full contact or K1. The kind of kick
Hmm.
light seems like is a good balance there to maybe help a transition.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's another little stepping stone. You get used to those kicks coming at your legs. Even though you're wearing a shin pad or something, it's still getting you conditioned for those leg kicks. You still got to look out for them as well. You're learning different types of defenses to them, being able to move out the way, being able to check it, being able to angle off from them. So definitely, I think there's a lot of skills within the kick line that you can take into the professional ranks when it's K1 or low kick or whatever the rule set is, MMA even.
Yeah. So then, what does what does your training schedule look like then? What would a training week look like?
Well, usually I try to balance it with my points, my running, my boxing training, my jiu-jitsu training. So I'm doing all different types of training throughout the week. But I try and train twice a day, and I'm usually training for a couple of hours each session. So it varies, but usually Monday I'm doing a points workout, and then in the morning, then I usually teach in the evenings from 4 till about 8:30, and then usually my dad comes down on a Monday or to do some pad work with me. So I'll do like a pad workout, and then Tuesday I usually have jiu-jitsu and boxing back to back, and I'll probably do a run in the morning, something like that. Wednesday will be another points workout, and then Wednesday night I'll box. On Thursday I have another points workout in the morning, and then Thursday will be like continuous pad work again with my dad. Friday will usually be a run, and then I might do like a kind of workout on my own. And then Saturday mornings I box, and then Sunday mornings I do jiu-jitsu. So it's a packed out week full of them all. I try to balance it out as much as possible.
No days off.
No days off. No days off. So sometimes I'll have a day off if I'm a believer in listening to my body. So if my body's telling me, Elijah, you need a day off, you've done this much, and I need to rest, then I'll rest. But if I feel like I don't need to, and I can just continue my training week as usual, then I'll go ahead and do that. So I just I don't have a designated rest day. I just listen to my body and take a rest as and when.
And then, do you have many? You don't do any like strength and conditioning then, in terms of like weight training?
I don't really lift weights or anything like. I don't lift any heavy weights. But I do my own fitness kind of training. Usually at the end of a session, like I have my abs routine that I do, or I'll do like just body weight exercises. I feel like body weight exercises is usually the most beneficial for what I do. Being explosive and fast. So I try to just do body weight exercises, or even if I do lift weights occasionally, it won't be massive weights. It will just be, a high reps, lower weight. I feel that benefits me the most. But I don't really have like an actual day where I just say, right, I'm going to do all strength and conditioning. I usually try and merge that into my regular training sessions.
Okay. And then, so could you said you're going to move up a division then this year? Would you have looked at maybe adding in some strength and conditioning, a bit more programmed to obviously put on muscle as opposed to just eating your way up the
yeah.
division.
You're right. Yeah, no, you're right. Moving up to, luckily, it was actually it's just for the points. So I actually fight both divisions anyway. I usually fight 74
Okay,
and 79 when I go to a competition because it's points. The weight doesn't really matter that much. So I probably would have done a little bit more strength training just to build myself up for that event, but it wouldn't have been massive because if it was continuous or if it was a full contact fight, then I definitely would have had to make some adjustments. But because it's points and obviously it's more about speed and timing than it is about pure power and strength, then I would have kept it pretty much the same, but maybe just added in a little bit of extra strength work.
Yeah, like I know we talked about maybe look at going to like at some point Glory or Bellator kickboxing. And then you said that have you had any full contact kickboxing fights?
I had a couple of full contact kickboxing fights when I was younger. I think I had about 4 or 5 full contact fights when I was a kid. But then the problem is with the WAKO rules is that you can't compete in ring and tatami sports within the same event. So I've always been competing in tatami. So I've always done points and continuous and kick light because I feel like I can get more mat time doing that and get better by doing that than rather than going in the ring. So I've had my experience obviously with doing them as a kid, and then obviously boxing as well was massive for the ring sports. But yeah, it's something that it's an area that I really want to dive into over the next few years and start working on the full contact.
And like you said, I know you had Jack Felton is your teammate now, and that was you since kind of joined the team All Stars. And that, how did that kind of come about?
Well, I've known Raymond and the guys for a long time, ever since I first went to the Irish Open, and asking him for pictures and things like that, and just having a chat with him. He knows my dad very well, and he also knows my boss and instructor Lee, and we've had him over for seminars in the past and that kind of thing. Just over the years, just developed a good relationship with all of the guys and with all the All-Star team. And then I think it was a few years ago at the Irish Open, it might have been 2017. And I remember I caught, me and my dad were just walking from the hotel over to, I can't remember where we were going, but anyway, we saw Raymond walking past us. And then he just stopped us and we were having a quick chat. And then it was then where he asked me if I wanted to join the All-Stars. I was about 18 years old and I just started to win some adult events. So he must have thought that the time was right for me, and they asked me to be on the team. And of course, you don't say no to Raymond Daniels and the All Stars. It was a dream come true that he asked me, and it's been a great few years being a part of their squad.
Yeah, because I think that's kind of the strange one. Just when you see the Irish Open, obviously then you're with like the mostly Americans on that team, but then you go to the WAKOs and obviously you're fighting them for GB.
Yeah. So that's the thing is whenever I'm at a Worlds or Europeans, then I'm fighting for country, but yeah, I'll always represent the All Stars squad when I'm out at the various different tournaments across the world.
And when did your dad start coming along to train? Because he said at the start that he wasn't really for you starting kickboxing, but now you're saying like he does a lot of your pad work and stuff. So when did he kind of come on board as a coach?
Well, we quickly realised, that we'd have to work together to achieve anything in this sport. We had to rely on ourselves a lot. He's my dad first and foremost before anything else, and he'll always be there and he'll always have my back and he'll always look out for me. And there's nobody that I trust more in the world than him. So it was a great match, and it was pretty much from the very beginning. As soon as I had my first competition, he was always helping me out with training ever since then, and he was coming along to tournaments, and he was taking me to the tournaments. And without that sacrifice over those years, as a kid, and then coming up even to now, where he's still sacrificing so much for me, I definitely wouldn't have been able to achieve anything to this point without my parents' support. So I'm very, very lucky to have had such a supportive, to have such supportive parents, and to have such a backing from them. Never would have been able to achieve anything without them. So.
Yeah, and in your club, then is there many other people who be on like an international level in terms of going to WAKO Worlds and Europeans?
From my club, not anymore, but because a lot of them have all gone down different routes. They've gone to different areas. I know some of them tried to do taekwondo. Some of them went down the university route. But at one time, we had a very good level of fighters within our team. We used to have like Jack Evans, Tom Evans, Ryan Marlowe was another great one. Chris Aston is still around, and he's one of them that's he's on the Corelli team now with the Hungarians. So we definitely had a great level of people to train with when I was a kid, but now it's just actually me left at that school from that generation. I'm the only one that's left still competing.
Yeah, and is there many people going to come through, do you think?
I've definitely got a couple of kids that I'm coaching now that I think could do very, very well in the future, as long as they keep focused and they keep themselves training. Then absolutely they could definitely achieve great things in the sport. So I've definitely got my eye on a couple of kids from my school. So hopefully that'll do me proud.
Train yourself up. Train up some sparring partners for yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
train them up. And
absolutely.
Actually, I want to just maybe a couple of more things before we finish up. But
yeah,
who would you say is what would you say is the toughest fight you've had? Did you pick ones that are maybe opponents, maybe just one fight against that particular opponent? Is there one kind of standout fighter that you've found tough?
I can't say that there's been one fighter or one tough fight that stands out in my mind, because there isn't. I think it's been, I've come across many great fighters and many great champions throughout my sporting career, and I think all of them have taught me something, or all of them have motivated me in some way to get better. So I think there's a group of guys out there that I've been competing against over the years that have been rivals, but we all push each other, and we just, as they say, steel sharpens steel. We all push each other to get better, and I think I've definitely got better because of learning lessons from those fights and learning lessons from those opponents. So there isn't one that stands out, a single opponent or a single fight, but I'm just happy that I've had the chance to compete with many great champions over the years.
Yeah, especially when you're going across the different events, like, the fights can be sometimes tough in different ways. Some can be a very tactical match, but then some can be very tough in terms of physically.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you can be more tired, I find, even after like the more tactical matches. Like, you're just going to come out and your brain is more fried than anything physically. Like,
yeah, especially in the points. Yeah, like in the points fights, those tactical chess matches, they do wear you out, because it's utter focus from the first bell to the last one, and you make one mistake and it can cost you the fight. So having that in the back of your mind, and that nervous energy building up inside of you, that's what tires you out. So it's a bit of both. It can be tactical and physical, and working together, it can really drain you.
And last year, like with WAKO again and IOC, do you think you'll see WAKO in the Olympics?
I really hope so. I know we're probably a long way off yet, but I really hope that eventually we get to that stage. Whether it's still when I'm competing, obviously that would be amazing to compete in the Olympics, or whether it be maybe one day I'll be a coach or something like that. Something I'd absolutely love to do, but I'd love to see our sport being showed on the Olympics. It would be absolutely amazing. I don't know what disciplines that they'll look to. I think that probably K1 has the best chance if it is going to get to the Olympics. But we'll wait and see. I can't say that it will or it won't, but let's just hope so.
Yeah. I think that would be the ultimate. I think for like, I know even in like there is a version of Taekwondo in the Olympics, but
yeah, the WTF. Yeah,
I'd love to see ITF Taekwondo in the Olympics. I think that would be, like you said, the ultimate. To if you don't get there as a competitor, to even if you manage to be a coach or somebody who got the step on at an Olympics, would be something special.
It would be, yeah.
And I've started the last couple of episodes kind of asking people their two final questions. Is who's your favorite fighter of all time? Any sport, whether it's kickboxing, boxing, MMA, whatever. Favorite fighter?
Yeah, favorite fighter. I'd have to say it's got to be Raymond. Raymond Daniels. He's watching him as a kid doing the points was inspiring. He brought something that no one was able to deal with. The way and just not just his skill set, but his mindset as well is what stood out to me. Being able to spend time with him now, being on his team, and picking up some of the things that he says was amazing. So I think Raymond Daniels, and obviously you saw his skills on show at the Birmingham. At the MMA show when he did the 720 spin. So yeah, things like that he brings to the table are just absolutely incredible. So and he's been able to do it in all styles as well. He's been able to do it in the points. He's been able to do it in continuous full contact. MMA. So I think you have to put Raymond up there, 100%.
Yeah, definitely one of the best stand-up fighters ever, I think.
Yeah.
Raymond Daniels. And then if you had to pick a favorite fight all time, there's one fight you're going to turn on and watch. What fight are you picking?
From any combat sport?
Any combat sport.
Ooh. That's a good one. I think. Was it Diego Sanchez, Clay Guida? Yes, Diego Sanchez, Clay Guida is one of the old UFC fights, and that was an absolute war for 3 rounds. They just absolutely paced each other. I think, I'd have to say
that was one of my Sanchez or Melendez. Is that the one, maybe?
I think it was Clay Guida. I'm pretty sure it was Clay Guida, Diego Sanchez. I remember, and that fight just stands out to me because it was just an absolute war. It was back and forth. Both guys were bloody and beaten up at the end of it, and it was just warrior heart from the two of them. So that's great to watch always.
Yeah, solid. I think that's kind of it. I think we touched on a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that I kind of wanted to chat about. Like I said, I think yourself is probably, if not the best pound for pound, like definitely top one, top two. But I would say best pound for pound kickboxer in the world at the moment. So it was great to have you on and have a chat.
No, thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate you having me on, and hope to see you soon, mate.
Yeah, you too, and keep well, and hopefully be back training soon.
Yes, hopefully, mate. You too. All right.
Yeah. Cheers. All the best, man.
Okay, mate. Bye-bye.